That took forever, and it shouldn't have. So, welcome, dear ladies and gentlemen, to the GO.Live Gaming Podcast. This 18th of January, a Thursday, in the beginning of the year. It's exciting, it's new times. With me today, I have Whiskey Zero, also known as Luke. Hello.
What's going on, everybody? Happy to be here.
Go. Yeah, let's go. We also have Chromatism, also known as Josh.
Oh. Yeah, I'm here too. So, you know, that's the thing. So...
Yeah, everybody's
looking forward to it, man. Really looking forward to it.
Everybody's been here. It's just the technical issues, you know. Yeah. First times are a bitch. Let's just say that. And last but not least, we have our own little kitten on the show, also known as Patrick or Raker. Hello, man.
Hello, I'm glad to be on my first live stream ever. You guys can, of course, call me Patrick.
All right, cool. So, first off, I want you guys to just make a little short introduction, who you are, what you've done in the past, so the audience can get to know you a little bit better, at least. You guys are going to get to know these guys during the episodes that we release of this show. But first off, Luke, what you been up to in the past?
Oh, well, you know, community manager by day, gamer by night. My background is actually in competitive gaming. I used to play Dare Defeat Source back in the day, but then real life happened and I had to get a job. These days, you know, I am, where I differ actually from the rest of you guys is I'm primarily a console gamer, but this is a cathedral for games. There is no console war or PC love-hate going on. At least here on the stream for now.
We PC gamers know we're better. We don't need to say it. It's fine.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, PC. We said no. We said no. These days, PUBG is probably where I spend a lot of my time. And do you know what? I'm really looking forward to getting to know some of you guys watching and particularly chatting with you chaps about the world of EA gaming and Anthem, of course.
Awesome, good to hear. And also we have Chromaboard, or Chromatism, which I've done some content with in the past, but not for this particular project. So, Josh, why don't you say a few words about yourself?
Well, I used to be sort of around YouTube, used to be doing some Let's Plays. That has fallen by the wayside. Unlike Luke, I am a gamer by day and a gamer by night. Because circumstances dictate that. And also, speaking of which, Dare Defeat Source, you know, playing it with clans, I might have killed you on the enemy down ladder. That might have happened.
More likely, I killed you, Sunshine.
No, I probably I probably, you know, your head was probably gone. But anyway.
Shots fired already.
No, but
interesting.
That's basically. I'm here. I'm a gamer. I'm giving my insights because I like to give people opinions, you know, and tell them what I think. So there we go. That's why I'm here.
All right. Good. And last but not least, we have our happy little German. We have.
Yes, Sat already said I'm from Germany. I'm still pretty young. I'm currently studying physics, and I'm a gamer whenever university allows me to be.
Yeah.
But not before 1 p.m. in the afternoon.
Yes. My sleeping habits are terrible.
Indeed. But yeah, so also fun facts. Raker Patrick has been a part of my journey along YouTube for, well, a pretty big part of the time that I actually did YouTube for 3 years before I started this project. And before I realized that other project didn't really go as I wanted it to, and didn't end up where I wanted it to. But this time around, we're doing everything right from the beginning, despite technical issues. So, hopefully you can get really high quality content here. And on this show, we're gonna try to bring you the highest quality opinions and facts and all that. Hopefully. Probably not.
Absolutely. I'll see myself out then.
Yeah. Okay, we want to get this started right. We'll just leave, you know. It's fine.
Indeed. On today's show, though, we have some interesting things that we are going to do. We are going to try to predict 2018 in our own little way. So if you're an investor in the gaming industry, in stocks and all that, then you better listen, because this is going to be a gold mine. It's gonna be fantastic. All right, so just gonna get my little notes up, and first and foremost, I'm gonna try to. I can start with a couple of notes of my own. We're gonna do one note at a time, and we're gonna go from me, then Luke, then Josh, and then Patrick, and we'll see where it takes us. So, the first little prediction that I have is that a next-generation VR headset will come to Xbox One X, and the first real big-budget game from a AAA game studio will be released in sync with that. That's a virtual reality game, a AAA game. We haven't really had that so far, but I think that is a big possibility. Now that we have known that virtual reality is a thing for quite a while, then I think the bigger companies have had some time to actually work on at least some sort of project along the way. So that's where I base my conclusions, sort of. I don't know. And also, a VR headset needs to come to Xbox One X because it's the most powerful console out right now. So if you're gonna play VR on a console, it's got to be that one, right? I mean, it's worked pretty well for PlayStation 4, though they already have some fitting gadgets and controls to go with that already was in use for the PlayStation 4 VR headset. But yeah, that's where my first prediction lands. Do you guys agree, disagree? What do you say?
I think it's very likely, but go first, Luke.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, do you know what? I couldn't agree more. Obviously, consoles, especially Xbox One X, is my wheelhouse. It's no secret that the Xbox One X was developed with VR in mind. In fact, some of the earliest promotional footage they put out at that very first EA when they announced the console talked about VR and actually showed people testing with the Oculus. Of course, Microsoft have a partnership with Oculus. I myself believe that, yep, you're going to see a peripheral coming to Xbox One X, but I'll go one step further. I actually anticipate that they'll be releasing their first AAA game. It certainly will be announced at E3 this year, I believe, and it'll probably come out holiday 2019, I would imagine. And I believe it'll be Halo, because that's like their principal, exclusive franchise, and I think that's where we're going to see the first movement.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Could also be Forza. It could be Forza VR.
Forza would be brilliant, and obviously Gears. I suppose that's their big three. But
yeah.
Imagine giant
VR. I mean, that's a series that's based on its third-person gameplay. It's you
just feel like you're sat in a little backpack on his back, looking over his shoulder.
Oh, isn't that nice? Yeah.
Very cozy.
Very cozy.
Very cozy indeed. All right. I think that's enough. I don't think we should stick on these too long because then we're going to be here all night, and I know that I don't have time for that.
Oh, but it's lovely company. I mean, come on.
It is. It's the most lovely of companies.
Oh, right.
Next up, we have... we can go with Luke. You can say your first one if you want to.
But only if you want to, Luke.
Only if you want to.
So you can't. You said you stole my thunder. VR was my thing. So when I say when I was going over it, that was actually my point. But I'll go one step further again, and I think VR will become really mainstream. In fact, there is a VR experience in London right now in Stratford. It's been laid on by Industrial Light and Magic. It's a Star Wars experience, and it's actually they built a sound stage with props and rooms, and basically. Cool. You wear that, yeah, absolutely. You wear the headset, you put on armor, you're completely immersed, and I think that's VR fully realized, and I think you're going to see a lot more of that.
Yeah, I believe that thing with Star Wars has been done on more places in the world right now. I listened to a podcast. I think it was, I don't know if it was the Co-optional or Roundtable Live where they actually talked about that. So that is something that I've heard really good things about. But then again, an experience like that, as they have set it up, also sort of requires the room itself with all the gadgets and everything around it, from what my understanding. But still, it's interesting that they are experimenting in the VR space.
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of think of it as being like fully interactive cinema, if you like.
Yeah.
You know, you pay your money, you turn up, you have your hour or 2 hour experience, and you move on with your life. But it's just fully immersive, and I can see it really taking off.
And to be honest, I mean, I've experienced somebody who's fortunate to have space for a Vive, you know, the full space so you can walk around, and I've actually had the experiences that were on offer there. And I must admit, it's definitely worth having those experiences. It really is quite amazing. However, my point, and just sticking on the VR tangent, I am going off on a slight tangent, is I think that it's quite clear in the market at the moment that portable gaming, portable experiences are also very, very important. So this might be a bit of a long shot, but I predict that there will be, and hopefully not another Google Glass, but I predict that there will be some sort of dedicated system for at least an augmented reality experience when you're out and about on the go. And whether or not that takes the form of gaming or, dare I say it, advertisement, I don't know yet. But I definitely think there'll be some sort of announcement for an augmented reality setup at some point in the year. Simply because, let's face it, when you're on your mobile phone and you're doing this, that's not great.
No. That's when it gets stolen by a naughty man on a fast bicycle.
That's right. Or you walk into something, or down into a pothole or something. I don't know, into a grid. But yeah, it'd be better to have that set up. So I reckon that's probably going to come at some point. I'm quite interested to see the sort of stuff they could do. I mean, we've seen Pokemon, we've seen other stuff, but yeah.
I would rather be terrified because all of these people walking down the street, even less focused on what's happening, running into cars, running into people on their bikes.
I don't know, man. I think some sort of goggles and augmented reality glasses or whatever, like the HoloLens was or is, I think that could actually be a good addition to, if you're looking into mobile gaming, if you're thinking about like Pokemon Go, if you have something, it could be really low resolution, something that you have on your eyes where you see there that augmented reality instead of having to look through your phone. I think that will actually make people even more aware of their surroundings because they don't have that phone in the way. So I don't know. I think it's certainly a possibility, and I see the market for it. I still think augmented reality stuff has the issue of the space required for it to be done. Like Pokemon Go would certainly work for that. That's already been proven. But where do you take the next step? Do you continue on games where you just walk around in the world, or do you have experiences in your home? That's where I want to see where it actually goes in the end. And I'm more skeptical towards augmented reality than I am towards VR, but that might just be me.
Well, just as a very quick thing, I mean, think about the Pokemon stuff that they've not done. They don't have... I mean, Pokemon Go is all very well and good, but it's all about collecting the Pokemon, but you still don't have that experience of being a Pokemon trainer. You still don't have that experience of having your team of 6 going around battling people, leveling them up. It doesn't actually really happen.
No,
just randomly appearing.
Yeah,
there's a lot of stuff missing in that experience that could potentially be there. I totally agree. But all right, let's move over to the next point. Patrick, will you be a dear and read the first one?
It's still on VR technology because we're in the subject. Did you guys know about the Tesla suit that's being worked on?
It was a long time ago when I actually looked up the Tesla suit, but yeah,
it's still in development, so they're still on that one. And I think this is gonna be maybe this or next year, but possibly this already be a big thing because it's the logical next step to virtual reality, so that you have the real experience, like the cold of the environment you're in, or the pressure from a bullet that hit you. And
yes, I do remember this.
I'm having Ready Player One vibes just looking at that thing. It's a suit with full haptic feedback.
And any sort of haptic feedback suit will be. It has to be the future, at least of virtual reality. I mean, that's my dream.
I am a glutton for punishment and love the idea of feeling when I get shot. And do you know, I actually know that would really benefit from understanding when they get shot. They might run off less because it hurts if you get shot. That would be perfect.
Don't get shot because it hurts. Therefore, don't peek like a lunatic.
It's like, work as a team, you won't get hurt.
Yeah, and also adding to all of this, I don't know if you guys are watching anime or stuff like that. There's one where it's also about virtual reality, and it's called Sword Art Online. Yeah. It's a popular but not beloved franchise. But there's actually a company in, I think, China or Japan, I'm not really sure, that's trying to replicate exactly what's happening in the show. So they use modern technology like the, I don't know its name, but it's like a treadmill in all directions where you move in one space. So you can move through the virtual world.
Omnidirectional treadmill, I think.
Exactly, and this is coupled with some sort of special footwork that's also helping move throughout the environment and making the movement more natural. Plus, of course, the Oculus Rift, and combining all that into one game. I think if those technology all cross at some point, we're really gonna arrive at the virtual reality where we're probably heading.
Yeah,
these are dark times. I'm gonna have to get fit to play games. What the heck is going on?
But think of that. Think of the benefit of that. You don't actually have to do exercise. You're just playing.
You're playing games and getting exercise at the same time. I mean,
it's the dream.
Yeah,
right?
It is the dream.
Maybe
more can you ask for? I don't know about the omnidirectional treadmills. They seem, I think they have to eventually go another route, or make it so very small, very slim, and quite affordable. Because that's just like, if you go with the omnidirectional treadmill, I don't know, remember the company that actually does it. I can check that out while I'm talking. But that one looks like it's a beast. And I don't know how many people actually would want to have that in their house. But then again, if you look at all these, I read manga, manhwa, a lot of different ones. And a lot of the ones that I quite enjoy myself is... let's see here. I'm going to try to see where... only problem is your locomotion. I don't know.
Just as an added thing, there are also smaller Omni tools that take, I don't think, like 2 to 1 meter or less. Yeah. So they aren't that big.
No, of course. It's smaller than room scale, but then again, it's a gadget that I think has to be more affordable. But it's still the future that I think we're moving towards. So
it'll be a cultural shift before homes regularly have a space dedicated to VR.
I'll just get rid of my gym stuff in the garage and put it all in there.
Well, I mean, yeah, some people can do that, but I think, as we say, for smaller households, it will be a cultural thing. This is the entertainment room.
Oh, yeah, right. I mean, if I could have an omnidirectional treadmill, a full VR experience, and a haptic feedback suit that made me look like a Spartan.
Oh yeah.
Take my money. Take my freaking money. Right now.
Would it give you the sort of airbrushed abs as well? Would it do that for you?
Yeah, of course. 100%.
Yeah, totally. Hold back the Persian army by myself.
All right. So, Patrick, you're done on the first prediction, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. Then we'll jump back to me. All right. So I'm going to stick on the virtual reality train a little bit longer since we're already on it. And the next generation VR headsets will release, but will still be expensive and an enthusiast gimmick. So we started off this year with the Vive Pro, which I haven't seen any numbers for, but I think we could look that up. But it's still going to be an expensive gadget. And also, people are talking about where we need to land for it to be the best experience. I've dabbled in quite a lot of virtual reality, and the current headsets do not really fulfill the requirements needed for virtual reality, in my opinions, because of the screen door effect with the low resolution. So what people are saying we need to aim for is 4K for each eye. and that we're still at where, and we're talking about 2 4K screens for it to be as immersive and as good as possible. But still, we're currently working towards 1 4K screen to be able to game on. So how that will be solved and how they will solve that problem will be interesting to see. But I still think VR is going to be a big part of this year, and we're probably going to see at least one cheaper, more consumer-friendly headset. But I think we're still going to see those really expensive ones. That's going to be the main focus still, because they're still pushing that technology currently.
Yeah, I couldn't agree. I couldn't agree more, Saj. I mean, you know, if VR is going to become mainstream, which I believe it is, then you know, a key part of that is you have to have something mass market, something that everyone can buy. You know, so that's absolutely probably a prerequisite. 4K resolution. I don't know why some reason it gives me a headache just thinking about it. I feel like having that much resolution that close to your eyes is just gonna give me a headache. At least it's probably not true, but just for some reason it feels like it would.
Yeah, I don't know. Since I'm right now, I wouldn't buy a VR headset just because I can't stand the screen door effect and the resolutions on them. It becomes too foggy for me. It sort of hurts my eyes trying to focus on that for too long. So for me to be interested or try to invest in the technology, it needs to be way better. The Y Pro currently boasts a 3K resolution, which is quite impressive, but I've still heard that the screen door effect is there, so it's not gone. We're not there yet, but it's the next step, and we're gonna have to see more in the upcoming days and weeks where the Y Pro lands for everyone. All right, let's move along, shall we, Luke?
Sure, absolutely. I think that Battle Royale games are going to mature. I think that one will come above all, possibly PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, not because I enjoy playing it, but purely just because looking at all the ones that are out there, it seems to be the most geared towards, objectively competitive gameplay. And I say that because I think it'll actually become a successful esport, and I actually think it could become something like the Counter-Strike for the millennials. It's going to be around a long time. That's this man's opinion, anyway.
Yeah,
I would have to totally disagree on that part, because at first I have to say I never played any of the Battle Royale games. I'm just looking from the outside in. And I think there's a lot of randomness to the game, because you're 50 people on a very huge map that spawn all over the place, so you can never really anticipate where people are. Only.
Oh, have we just lost a Raker?
I don't know. It certainly sounds like it.
We'll be right back after these messages.
But all right, I'll try to pitch in instead. When it comes to Battle Royale, I actually have a prediction of my own, and it simply states Battle Royale games will fade out in popularity. But the thing is, you can pitch that in different directions. I think Battlegrounds itself will fade out in popularity, and there will be a lot more options that will be more interesting. At least I hope so, because I personally sort of tired of Battlegrounds already. I might be the only person in the world right now, because it seems like everybody and his grandmother and their whole I don't know, their whole family and relatives and all of those. I'm just going on and on here. It seems like everybody's playing Battlegrounds still, but I don't see how it can. I don't see it sticking for that long. I don't know. I might be totally wrong on that, but I'm going to go the other way.
Yeah, well, I think with the popularity of Battlegrounds and Fortnite, I don't think, as Luke says, it's actually going to go anywhere. I do think we're going to see something that very similar to what's going to happen with the MOBA market. basically in that we have League of Legends, we have Dota 2, and basically every other MOBA that's trying to actually kick off after that has kind of failed, apart from Smite, which only worked because of the payment model. And also then Heroes of the Storm, the only reason that works to the extent that it has done is because Blizzard is behind it and therefore they can back it all the way. Whereas other MOBAs have just come and died. And that's it. Basically because the market is already saturated. So I think Fortnite, along with PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, that's it, really. That's you know, those are the two that are going to persist for ages unless one of them makes a huge mistake and something goes really, really wrong.
Yeah.
Am I back alive again?
Yeah, you're all.
Yeah.
And sorry for the not so professional framework there on the stream. I'm not used to good controls yet. All right. So, do you want to continue, Patrick, or do you?
Yeah, I'm just gonna keep it short. So I think it's not really that big of a competitive game because there are a lot of random factors to it. But I recognize that there are competitive card games which have even more randomness to it. So. Yeah. Maybe that will still be the case. That's gonna become an esport, and I have to agree with Taj that I think it's gonna fade away a little bit when the next phrase comes, next genre that takes the intention away from it. I think it's more of a hit game than a game that will stay for decades.
Yeah. It's interesting. Sorry, Serge, go ahead.
All right. I think we have to move on because we're already hit the almost half an hour mark. So, Josh, your next one.
Oh, my quick one was that the Paladins Battle Royale is going to be the testament and the benchmark of how not to do a Battle Royale. It's got some really interesting ideas, but I do not understand how, in the ever-loving whatever, a hero shooter can make a decent battle royale. I mean, you've got tanks, you've got DPS, you've got what on earth is going to go on there, really?
I don't see that working, but hey, it's going to be interesting to have to check that one out.
I'm keen to see what they do with it, but oh no.
Yeah, because it's so weird to take that genre and try to make it in a way where you die once and that's it. And you also have characters, you can't make that balanced. There's going to be like a couple of characters that are going to be played all the time. But then again,
do squads. Yeah, it's like you take the healer role, I take DPS, and
that could actually be interesting in squad modes. But in solo, I don't see it working. But squad modes could potentially be interesting because there's actually some tactics there with picking the different different classes and yeah.
Unless, and I've actually just this has just occurred to me. What if they actually use the heroes, which is again completely beside the point, but if they use the characters as a chassis. And instead, the actual pickups you get are the powers you get in the game. So it's like I find a power that can heal people, or I find a power that can launch grenades, or I find a power that basically is a gun. That could actually be quite interesting, because then you're looking more into the MOBA elements, and it's still that looter experience. It's just, rather than gear, it's abilities that you're basically finding.
Yeah.
Don't know.
All right.
What I think would be great if they would be very creative and inspire other genres, even if this... isn't that successful.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we are going for... Let's go for Patrick.
I have another thing about open world games. I think there's going to be a trend this year, starting last year, that every game for some reason has to be open world, even if it doesn't fit the genre or doesn't really work for the story they have in mind. And this is going to affect many game series we probably going to see because they all want to have an open world for their game. So, I mean, like, for example, last year we had Breath of the Wilds. Most people praised the game. I think the open world made a lot of problems for the game itself because it came to easy and to puzzle unfocused. Also Mass Effect Andromeda has no reason to have those huge open worlds with nothing in it. So I think this is going to be a trend for here.
So you think there's going to be another explosion in the open world scene?
Yeah, even bigger than last year.
All right, interesting.
Okay.
I'll call you out on that and say that it's probably not going to be the case, but we're going to have to see in the end who's who's right and who's wrong.
There's definitely gonna be some winners and losers, isn't there, this time next year?
Yeah. Oh yes.
All right, we actually have one team member that is currently not on the show, which is kind of our sports games guy. His name is James, also known as Waffle Launcher, and he's actually written down some predictions as well, and I think we can just go over them quite quickly. And the first one he has is no major change in how loot boxes work in 2018. Pay to win will live. I agree. I agree. We can touch more on that later, I guess.
Right.
FIFA Ultimate Team will remain untouched, also from loot box scandal. There is a connection, but with FIFA, it seems to be less frowned upon. Yeah, I totally agree, because the FIFA has already had these problems in the past. Certainly has been an issue. So, all right, let's do one more, and then we can jump to the next guy. FIFA to continue to grow in the US with announcement of EMLS Cup, possibly more of a market focus towards the US to take advantage. This is not something that I'm personally that involved in when it comes to sports games and the esports side of things, but that may be true. All right, we'll jump back to me, shall we? We can talk more. Or do you have something to say on that, Luke?
Yeah, no, I was just going to say that it would make sense for EA to bring Major League Soccer into the game. At the moment, I believe it focuses primarily on European football. Obviously, the cradle of football makes sense, but it's really getting traction in the US now, and such a big market to get MLS into it would be a huge deal for them, and it would shift many copies.
Yeah, it totally overtake American Hand Egg. Yeah, I totally. Soccer, calling it soccer. You are British, sir. It is football. Sorry, carry on. That's all.
Yeah. All right. Next one. It's going to be Anthem related. Finally, we're getting to one of our main topics on the show. And I've just written down Anthem will not be pushed back to 2019, because that seems to be a popular opinion when it comes to Anthem for some reason. I might see one reason if they've already sort of made the game around some vicious pay-to-win loot box scheme, and they realize now, oh, we can't do this, then they're probably going to do a 180 and try to make that work. So that might be one of the reasons, but rarely when Bioware and EA are involved, from my experience, is a game actually pushed back. They're usually quite good on their promises on when to release games. So,
and they're usually finished when they come out, obviously with some bugs, but they're usually pretty complete when they're released. Bioware, I think.
Yeah, I was going to say, and EA in general, if they say a date, it's carved in stone. Even if what they release is a steaming pile, it will release.
Yeah. I think
I'm with you with that, Sarge. I'm with you with that. 100%.
I think it's gonna be pushed back, but just by a little, because this malicious setup, I think it's already in the game, but they probably gonna tweak it so that it isn't as harmful as it was in Battlefront.
Yeah.
I don't think it will be that bad. I think it certainly will be there, but
I think they'd be insane to even approach Battlefront 2. I think, as you say, they're gonna have to. I hope they're in a position to be able to do some backpedaling. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, we should be so lucky. We shall see.
Just before we move on to Luke, I'm sorry, I'm going to be really rude and interrupt and stuff, but I'd just like to point out that, because this ties into the prediction you just made, Sarge, I think that there will still be cosmetic. I think if there are going to be loot boxes in it, it will be for cosmetic stuff. However, I'm also going to make the prediction that, judging by recent games like Destiny 2 and all this sort of stuff, that I think what we're going to look at is a microtransaction system for account-based storage. In other words, you will have so much storage available to you, but you will have to charge and pay for more. And the other reason I say this is because it works very well for Final Fantasy XIV. If you are a crafter in that game, for example, then you can sort of have these little account add-ons for £1 or £2 more every month that gives you access to new retainers and extra storage and that sort of thing. Because storage is not cheap. And I could see them trying to finance it with that, honestly. So that's going to be one of my predictions.
Yeah.
If I could just jump in, we've got a comment here from one of our viewers. Callum Byers dropped in, and he's agreeing with us. He's saying shooters shouldn't have a pay-to-win scheme. It ruins it. EA have given Battlefront 2 a bad start. I agree. What else to say there? I agree 100%.
A bad start. They're giving it a bad life. I mean,
and an even worse death.
Yeah, we'll find out.
All right. Next up, we have. Let's go with Luke. Your next one.
So yeah, this is actually my final proper prediction. I think that Anthem will be I think it will be a technical masterpiece. I think it's going to be fantastic, but I think the loot crates are still going to be in there, and it's going to be the straw that broke the camel's back. I think that we'll probably see a profit warning from EA as a result, and we'll finally actually see them changing their business model. But I think it's going to take something like that to actually get things to change. Oh. That's this man's opinion. We shall see, but that's where I believe things are going.
Interesting. Yeah. I don't know. I'm really hoping that they're going for cosmetic only in Anthem. I'm crossing my fingers, my toes, my all the extremities that I have on my body. I'm crossing it, and I'm holding it crossed for the next year.
It would be so much better. It would be so much better. I mean, I know it's less money, at the end of the day, but I would love to see a straight up, no secondary currency, but a microtransaction system that is purely a microtransaction system, no loot boxes. Oh, that's a really nice cosmetic. I would like to purchase that to support the company. Loot boxes be damned. Indeed. Let's just have that, please. That would be great.
Yeah, let's go back to the goodwill stuff instead of where you actually want to support the company behind the game. All right, let's actually, Chrome, you've been pitching in on all different predictions here. So I'm actually going to jump over to Patrick so that you can have a word in this wild conversation.
a little bit to Anthem again. I think that they sadly will still continue with the pay-to-win aspect. But they're gonna take it to a minimum so they don't get the same backlash as they did now. So they are also gonna market it probably differently so that it doesn't really hurt the company that badly this time.
Yeah.
And maybe be a little bit more open, even though that is really hoping. That was just a little bit to Anthem, and my prediction is to the console, to the Switch. And I think that we will see a lot of small titles for it. I mean by that that they will have a low playtime in their game length, and that will probably hurt the Switch a little bit.
So yeah,
I highly disagree. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, I've noticed that there are a lot of. It's sort of a little indie box as it is currently. You do have some big productions on there, but not a lot if you check the Nintendo store on that one.
Well, there are also going to be ports, but it's like even judging by stuff like Mario Kart. And by the way, I actually own a Switch. As for 3 days, I now own a Switch, and it's bloody great. So, but even with stuff like Mario Kart, and they're also bringing over Hyrule Warriors, which was on the Wii U. A lot of people played it, but it was a good game. I mean, if you like Dynasty Warriors, it was decent. But it's like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Fine, we had that on the Wii U. They're bringing back Donkey Kong, which was on the Wii U. But the thing is, people have not played these games. And they're coming to the Switch. And Nintendo, for example, with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, all the content, all of the DLC, extras, and they totally revamped and completely remade the battle mode. Because that was one of the biggest problems with the Mario Kart 8. And they've just totally overhauled the entire thing. They've created totally new content for this so-called re-release. They're doing something similar with Hyrule Warriors, So I think they're doing something similar with Donkey Kong. So the thing is, although it's true that it is currently an indie machine, but the amount of ports from the Wii U that people just simply have not had a chance to play, that Nintendo are taking and lovingly sort of bringing up to date, even if it is only a few years. I think there's going to be a lot more vitality on the Switch than you otherwise might see. And the fact that people are actually getting Doom or want to get Doom on the Switch and Dark Souls on the Switch just so that they can play those games on the move, that's huge. That's enormous in point of fact, I think. So,
I meant the new IP. The new IPs will just be smaller titles, and that could also hurt the Switch, because if it doesn't create new IPs with a normal game length, like for example Mario Odyssey or Breath of the Wild, then there's even less incentive for people who actually owned the Wii U.
True. Yeah, I can see that.
I tell you what, the Switch has never even been on my radar, if I'm being honest. But if I could get Doom and a game like that and be able to sit in the car on the drive back from London, seeing me in-laws playing Doom, I would, sign me up. I'd be on board for that.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that I can actually I've got the console and this is my TV. I've been playing Mario Odyssey on my TV. I come in here because I'm talking to people, whatever. I can just bring the Switch with me, just pop it straight out, bring it with me, and I'm still playing Mario Odyssey while I'm socializing with people because I don't go out of the house. I'm a social reject. But, I can do that. I'm actually getting so much play out of it. I'm genuinely shocked at how compelling I'm finding this console. So, and I don't think that's going to change. I don't think that's sort of a beer goggles and whatever thing, a rose-tinted glasses thing either.
Yeah, that sort of seems to be the main opinion about the Switch. People are surprised on how much they actually use it. But all right, let's move along, shall we? I'll do mine next. Yeah. So it will go back a little bit to talk about loot boxes. EA will stick to cosmetic loot boxes only in 2018, except for their sports games, because they already know that works. But they will remain the evil empire of the gaming industry and make one mistake that will result in a bigger scandal than Battlefront 2.
I envy your hope. Definitely, I envy your hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they'll be able to screw it up this year as well. I'm on that train.
I mean, do you still think they're going to go ahead with UFC 3? Do you think they're actually going to still go ahead and have the, I can find a level 5 punch in a loot box, sort of system? Or
I haven't played that game enough to actually utter an opinion on that, but still, I think that they have way more, or they can do way more with their sports games, because they've been affected with that syndrome. I'm going to call it that syndrome for years. And I'm thinking that in the sports section of EA, it's going to be there. But they really have to, if they want to have the good faith of their audience, they really need to take a step back and just go all cosmetic on their next titles.
Totally.
So, yeah. All right, enough about that. Luke, no, you were actually done with your predictions.
I am done with my predictions.
I'm screwing over your older side.
Put them out there. Put them out there.
You're putting out there. See. All right, Chrome, you do have some left.
I don't need to do all of them. I don't need to bore us with all of them. I'll do a few. A little prediction is that absolutely no loot boxes or words along those lines will become the taglines for a lot of developers this year. No loot boxes in our games. That'll be one of the ways that they actually sell them.
Yeah, I totally agree.
A small thing.
Yeah, I totally agree. I couldn't be more aboard that one, because how big of a controversy loot boxes have been in 2017, it would be weird. It would be strange. It would be very, very odd if that trend actually continues and that more people are trying to push that. I think we're going to move back towards, if there's going to be microtransactions in games, we're going to move back towards actually being able to purchase the item itself.
Yeah.
That'd be nice. Do you want me to continue with mine, or do you want to flip around a bit more?
Patrick, do you have any more?
I have two, but if Chrome wants to, he can finish it.
No. It's just I had another loot box one, which might continue. If you want to continue,
let's go with another one for Patrick, and then Josh can indulge.
Okay, to the loot box thing, I think there will be a law in some countries this year already that regulates the stuff. I think they are gonna make fast work so that those kind of practices can't really achieve much more.
Yeah.
All right.
That was going to be my point as well. The sleeping giant has woken, and I know that Waffle said that pay to win is here to stay, and it probably will be here for a while. But here's the big thing: if loot boxes are actually classified as gambling in the EU, and if Belgium and certain other countries, go along with it, then the EU will also go along with it. If it is classified as gambling in the States, then suddenly we're in a situation where kids will no longer, any games with loot boxes in them and a system like that suddenly becomes adult only.
Yep. Yeah. But
so where does that leave loot boxes?
Yeah.
That's an interesting one.
And that raises an interesting point, actually, which is if these governments, which are now looking into these businesses because they've done goofed, if that actually turns out to be anything bad or illegal, what effect would that potentially have? On a complete side note, how would that affect a company like EA, for example, if they're found to be guilty of peddling gambling to children?
But I think I don't think they're going to be found guilty of peddling gambling to children because it will only be gambling after that point. I mean, they're not going to retroactively say, I don't think they would do that. Who knows? I don't know.
I'm going to add a prediction here. I don't think there's going to be any repercussion towards what has already been done.
Yeah.
But we are going to see heavier regulations and more rules when it comes to actually having in the game the chance on how high the chances to win something in a loot box. A little bit like China's doing currently. You need to have that in the titles over there. And I think that is going to be something that is going to be more widely adapted. So
similar rules to a fruit machine. It tells you the odds of prizes.
Yeah, I think that's where we're going with that whole debacle. I don't think there's going to be any. It's not going to be gambling. There might also be that if there's loot boxes, you have to push it up towards a higher rating, an adult rating maybe, or a teen rating. Because I don't think you're going to have. Yeah, I think that might be incorporated, but rules overall where everything becomes a lot more strict. I'm pretty positive that is going to happen. Yeah. But all right, let's move over to Josh again.
Well, I mean, I've got a few left, but I think we can just pick the choice ones more than anything. Yeah, I actually think that the next console generation, this might not be something for this year, but I'm just going to combine a couple. I think that we are either going to have rumors or an outright. Or we're going to see the beginnings of the PlayStation 5 in whatever form that might take this year. And leading on from that, I think that if consoles are going to stay relevant, because so far consoles, they're a static market. They don't actually grow year on year, oddly enough. That's some figures I've seen lately. I think, and we're getting into territory where this is sort of maybe PC, but I think we're going to start seeing consoles moving into a sort of proprietary modular system with their upgrades, meaning that maybe you'll be able to swap out the graphics chip and so on and so forth. Don't know, that's a long shot, but I'd be interested to see if that would actually happen, because it would also lead on to the whole sort of PS4, PS4.5 Pro, etc., but they could actually do that more readily, more easily moving forward. Don't know. It could be interesting to see anyway.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. It's fun enough. I was having a very similar conversation with a friend of mine yesterday, in fact, where I was saying I thought that's the way it was going to go, where you'd have this sort of modular system, or at least the life cycle of a console box would be longer, and you'd be able to upgrade certain components, and then later down the line you'd be able to get a new box. And his opinion was it wouldn't happen because it would create an unfair advantage to those that have the better parts. And I pointed out, well, it's already happening.
Yeah,
exactly. Look at the Xbox One S and the Xbox One X. Same people, same game. Power advantage or disadvantage in the case of PUBG, where people can see me hiding. I think I'm not. But
and not only that, they're starting to put actual graphics menus onto console games. So if you want that silky smooth 60 FPS, turn some stuff off. If you don't, keep it on. And so even then you've got advantages in games if you do that. I'm going to be honest. I'm a PC gamer, right? I have a pretty damn decent rig. When it comes to playing an online multiplayer game, I'm not thinking about graphics. I am thinking about having the most visual information on the screen at any one time, and that sometimes means lowering the graphical settings. So therefore, I'm playing with an advantage, if you want to call it that. It already happens in PC gaming as well.
Smart.
There's also the thing with Fortnite Battle Royale, where on PS4 you can actually just plug in a USB keyboard and a USB mouse, and you can play with a keyboard and mouse on the console. And it's always going to be an advantage to actually use a keyboard and mouse to play against other people if someone using, at least in first-person shooters. So we're going to have to see if that is going to become more of a thing or not. But it's certainly something that I think we have to keep our eyes peeled on in the upcoming year to see where that leads. Right. I'm actually going to do another Bioware prediction. And I'm going to say that Bioware will announce another Dragon Age title. And here's the twist. A multiplayer-focused one.
Well, let's face it, they were going that way with Dragon Age Inquisition, which may as well have been an MMO single-player game.
They also tried it with Mass Effect Andromeda, and this didn't really work out.
Yeah, but Andromeda had a multiplayer component, whereas Sarge
it wasn't multiplayer focused.
But they wanted to focus more on the multiplayer than the previous title, and even more than Dragon Age Inquisition. They tried it at least.
I don't know. I feel like the multiplayer component was quite similar to Mass Effect 3 multiplayer component. I played both of them quite a lot, and I didn't notice too much difference there. So, I don't know.
What we look at Dragon Age Online.
Yeah. Some sort of a multiplayer environment where they're going towards a new Dragon Age title and a new... I'm thinking that could happen. All right.
If it would be like Anthem, that would be great. So similar in idea, I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe.
That's an interesting point.
Maybe something like that. All right. But I don't think, just since the BioWare themselves are developing Anthem and Dragon Age, I don't think they're gonna make like almost the same game twice. But I think it's still multiplayer focused. All right, I'm gonna go towards a totally different way or a topic. I'm actually gonna state that cryptocurrency mining will plummet, and you will be able to buy high-end GPUs for a fraction of the initial cost.
Oh, I like that prediction, Saj. That's great.
Yeah. I'm really hoping that one is going to be true, because right now it's a trend the other way around, where GPUs are skyrocketing in price. So I'm really hoping that I'm right on this one. But then again, I do have a lot of friends who are into cryptocurrency mining, and I'm going to be really sorry for them. But
I'm going to be happy violin out. Yeah, sorry.
And yeah,
I like that. I really like that prediction. Yeah,
I'm all over it. I actually used to mine. I had some proper gear specifically for mining, but the difficulty got so high that I stopped about a year ago. Now I just hold. I think with the recent, we've already seen like Bitcoin, for example, halved in its value. It's corrected big style, and you're seeing a lot of people getting pushed out of the market, and a lot of the miners are actually shutting down because it's not profitable. The difficulty's gotten too high. So I think actually we're already seeing that potentially come to pass. I think you're onto one there.
We'll just have to see, won't we? All right, let's see. I also have one that is a bit of a wild card. A new game will be released that will become the biggest esports phenomena yet.
So PUBG.
Now, I think something new will pop up on the market. Yeah. It's been like PUBG, it works for esports, but we have always had these giants like Counter-Strike, for example. And on the strategy side, we've had StarCraft for a long time. But I think there's room for more. Like the Dota genre, it's been a long time since we've seen anything happen there. I don't think there will be any more iterations there that will take over what League of Legends and Dota already has. So I don't think there's going to be anything on that side. On the first-person shooter area, I don't think so either. Maybe we're getting back to some sort of strategy esports thing, but then again, it's got to be accessible for new people to watch. I think that's the main thing about Counter-Strike, why it's so attractive for people to watch, is that it's really simple to actually follow what they're doing on screen, even if you don't play the game yourself. If you're watching a game of StarCraft, for example, if you don't have anyone there explaining to you what's happening on screen, it's quite hard to follow what's actually happening. So I'm surprised that it actually is as big as it is in South Korea, but I think we're going to see something new on the esports side that is going to be a giant.
I've got a thing that's just popped into my head.
All right.
Just imagine omnidirectional treadmills, full body posturing, haptic feedback suits, teams in a VR environment, as an esport. That would be so good.
And you get to watch them get electrocuted when they fail.
Oh yeah, that would be amazing. As long as electrocution is a failure condition. But I mean, that would be interesting though, because I think one of the things with esports is that people like to follow the teams. They like to follow the team's personalities. But I think that would come through so much more in the VR thing, because it's that would be amazing. Even sorry, go on, Luke.
I was saying, you'd see them physically interacting.
Yeah, exactly.
4 dudes on a chair, or 4 people on a chair, they'd actually be in that world interacting, which would be fantastic.
Yeah, and you could do it as an observer. You could even see things through their eyes and what they're looking at directly. Yeah, it'd actually be quite an amazing experience.
Yeah,
we're quite a few decades off.
Yeah, I don't think that will happen this
it's not a 2018
year,
prediction.
Yeah,
I think another contender genre-wise could be like For Honor, but more refined and more fine-tuned for esports, because it is an easier game to follow, and so it's inviting, but it needs to be more. It's just need to be better than For Honor itself.
For Honor 2, you're right. Actually, that could have a shout. I don't know if that's out this year or 2019, but that's a very interesting thought.
They probably learned a lot from the first iteration of For Honor, so I'm quite aboard on that, and I actually loved the game in the beginning when I first started playing it, but then you saw that it was moving towards everybody using certain patterns over and over again, and it became like you need to find the meta combos, and that's all you do. And the game didn't stick for me. I think they're still pushing for that game to become something, but I do think they have to sort of redesign it a little bit from the ground up again, but it certainly holds promise. So,
but another point that is in the esports genre, we have to mention the Overwatch League, because that's a precedent that didn't really happen before, and I think that's gonna boost esports even more than it already is.
The concept of the Overwatch League, also the World Cup that they had, I think that's where we're moving towards more and more, where you have actually city-based teams or world or country-based teams, because the other, what we've had in the past, where the teams are basically sponsor, they're like, they have the name of their sponsor. That's the way everything's worked before, and it's really hard if you're new into that and say, like, who should I vote for here? I don't really know. But
not only that, so sorry to cut you right there, but not only that, but they have a 1 year what is it called again? Contract.
Yeah.
So they receive the money regardless if they're good enough or not.
Yeah, and that simple little idea of you actually voting for a team that's from your own hometown is really effective when it comes to accumulating fans. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's certainly, I think that is a trend that will continue. I certainly agree with that. All right, Josh, do you have any more interesting ones?
I think let's say I've got one more. Well, actually, no, I've got two, but I'll just reel them off quite quickly. So what with the Meltdown and Spectre shenanigans that have happened this year, I think it's finally time for Microsoft to up the ante and Intel to up the ante and actually show off some new PC architecture I think it needs to happen, because otherwise, they've even already said the current architecture, Spectre is a thing that they just can't stop if it happened. So we're going to see new architecture that could tie into modular stuff. We could see the next Xbox iteration use new architecture, which might blow everything else off the map. Who knows? It could be quite interesting. The other thing I'm going to predict is that, and there are already rumors of this, so this is a slight cheat perhaps, but we're going to either have leaked or announced this year Destiny 3. Because we do know that not all of Bungle, yes, Bungle, we do know that not all of Bungle are working on Destiny 2 to fix it up currently. So, I think Destiny 3 is actually a very real thing that could happen, not necessarily this year, but it'll be announced and we'll probably see it sometime latter end of 2019.
Yeah,
that's what I think.
Unless, of course, those developers that aren't currently working in the basement somewhere serving penance for Destiny 2.
It's all your fault. Get out.
All right. Let's see here. I'm just going to see if I have one left. I do not have anyone left, but we do have some of James's, our missing sports guy, and we can just brush through those quite quickly. FIFA, Madden, NHL announcement conversations to turn into yearly subscription-based games, or at least one of them, introduced in later years. Yeah, that kind of makes sense, though.
That would be a much better way. But if they did that and kept the monetization they've still got, good God, there would be hell to pay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, that one.
And he ends with Jurassic World Evolution to take over my life along with Red Dead Redemption 2. So, apparently we know what James is going to do. The upcoming time, or whenever. I have actually not looked into Jurassic World Evolution. Has there been more than just an announcement for that game?
I actually don't know anything about it. All I know is that Waffle should leave that alone and come and join me in Monster Hunter, which will consume my soul. Waffle, there are dinosaurs in Monster Hunter. Come to Monster Hunter.
Josh, for goodness sake, have you been paid or something to push this game?
No, it deserves more. It deserves exposure, damn it.
Fair enough.
All right.
Yeah, I still have one last prediction.
All right, cool, go.
The biggest scandal, I think, in 2018 will be a game which is so unfinished when it's shipped out that they really need to change that. Last year we had Mass Effect, I think. Before we had something like No Man's Sky, even though that was finished to what they wanted it to be. I think this year is gonna be the year where a game comes out so broken that it's gonna set precedent, and also a new huge debate about that.
Interesting. All right, I want one last prediction of you guys. If you can come up with something on the fly, this might be something that you want to correct later, but I'm not entirely sure if I want to allow you or not. But which game that you know of that is coming out in 2018 are you going, or do you think is going to be your game of the year? I'm obviously going to say Anthem, because I'm on board on the hype train on that one, and I'm way less skeptical than what the internet seems to be for that game. But yeah, I'm calling Anthem. And you guys, I think I know Chrome's.
What? No.
But yeah.
Go on, Luke. I'm gonna,
He's been offended now, and he's like, oh, yours is.
Yeah.
Is it boring if I also say Anthem? I'm so hyped for it. No, but it's like it's got all the best. It's got like all it promises, right, to have all the best bits of like of Destiny, like Destiny 1, that is, and all the things I used to love about Halo, and a bit of MMO goodness thrown in. And it's just, if it works, if it's what it promises to be, it's going to be sick. It's going to be so good, and I'm genuinely excited for it.
I hope it takes some inspiration from Warframe as well, shockingly enough, because I do thoroughly enjoy that, and it could. I hope it does, but Yeah, just because it gives me an excuse to say it again, and Monster Hunter World is mine. I know it's a shocker for everybody. But...
I predicted that prediction.
Oh, I'm so predictable.
Yeah.
Oh no, he's won the first one. We're not even. Yeah, and he's won.
But yeah, I've heard a lot of great things about that one, and it's certainly one that I have to check out myself. So you're probably. That's probably going to be the case for you. We'll just have to see. Maybe there's going to be a surprise for all of us this year. But Raker, do you have?
I don't know if Metroid Prime will come out this year.
Interesting.
It could be a possibility. Metroid Prime 4, but if it doesn't, it's also going to be Monster Hunter World.
All right.
I'll tell you what, I'm with Raker. If the Metroid Prime 4, that could just nudge Monster Hunter World out, but if it came out this year, we'd have to find out. So,
all right,
yeah,
all right, good enough. And that's actually all we have in terms of predictions. So now we're going to move over to the last segment of the show, which I'm temporarily going to call. Please tell me what to do until next week.
I like it. It really zips. You know?
It really does.
Yeah.
So, in this segment, we leave you with a gift until the next episode of this show, which you can indulge in or buy or fiddle with or whatever it is. And I'm going to start with mentioning the Steam Link, which is a quite old little gadget, but I just got it over the Christmas Steam sale for $5. And right now I have my two computers, my dedicated streaming PC and my gaming PC. That's not how you do that. All right, those two I have.
I still find that offensive. I'm just going to say I'm English.
I know.
Those two I do have in my studio currently, and up in the other parts of my house, I have the Steam Link set up with a mouse, a keyboard, and a screen, and I can access both PCs from there whenever I want, so I don't have to actually go out into my studio to access them, which has been a world changer for me. So the Steam Link is certainly something that I want to recommend. And I also want to do a second recommendation, which is on a totally different level. It's the Netflix series and Channel 4's series over in the UK, I think, is The End of the Effing World. If you guys haven't checked that one out, it's
on my watch list.
It's wonderfully offensive and weird and over the top, and it's just so interesting. And I really hope they make more seasons out of that. The first season was great, and both me and my girlfriend loved that show. So, yeah.
This is the one with the tagline, she just wants to have a big adventure, but he just wants to kill her. I think I saw this earlier.
Yeah.
Is that the one?
Yep.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It sounds like it. All right. Luke, what can you leave?
Yeah. Well, also something to watch, actually. It's a film called Bright. It came out over Christmas. It stars Will Smith. It's been critically panned, but audiences love it. It's like a police buddy drama kind of thing, but thrown into a fantasy world where crazy attention to detail has been paid. As someone was pointing out to me the other day when they were talking about their watch of it, if you look in the background, you see, like, at one point you see a dragon flying over LA. Has no narrative reason other than just to drive the point home that it is a fantasy world. I loved it. I know you guys will love it. Check it out.
Might as well be Shadowrun. Just saying, it is Shadowrun the movie.
I watched
With
half of that, and unfortunately, since I do have a 1-year-old kid, I fell asleep because it wasn't because the movie was bad.
I thought you were going to say all the cursing and violence made me stop my 1-year-old from watching it.
No, he was.
Won't remember. It's fine.
But yeah, he keeps me up at night. So movies at times are difficult to stay awake during. But it's certainly an interesting one, and they do take a lot of liberties and twists and turns with how the story progresses and how the movie is actually portrayed. So it's a really interesting one. I think I think that movie is a movie that is a splitter either you like it or you don't like it. I think you're probably not going to be in the middle of that one. I don't know. All right, Josh.
Right, well, I was going to do another one to watch, but considering we've already had two, I think we're going to go with a gaming angle. Oh, yeah, I should think so. We're going to go with the gaming angle. I have been playing lately. I've come back to it after it's been out now for, I think, has it been a year or a bit more? I've been playing Rainbow Six Siege lately.
Oh, okay.
And I've got to say, I am thoroughly enjoying it. It's probably one of the most intense that even shackles up to PUBG. Incidentally, it's probably one of the most intense shooters I've played in a while. If you want something to really dig your teeth into with incredibly tight and dense level design, which completely ties into the gameplay, if you're looking for a shooter where you can be incredibly creative in your strategies and how you interact with your teammates and how you try and thwart the opponent team, it's really worth a look. And it's also got a monetization method that is not bad. You know, I mean, you can actually pay basically money for what are effectively DLC packs. You can buy the items individually, and it will give you alpha packs. Loot boxes. They call them alpha packs, and it will even give you the odds. And that's what we're thinking. Well, actually, it gives the odds of are you going to get an alpha pack. Doesn't necessarily tell you what you're going to get in them, but cosmetic. It's worth it. It's totally worth it. Even if you get the starter edition, it's worth having a look at Rainbow Six Siege. I think it's in a good place.
All right.
Mate, you had me at tight and dense.
Tight and dense, yes.
Those are the key words for Luke when he looks for games. It needs to be tight.
Good to know.
And dense.
And dense.
All right. Patrick, do you have something that you could leave us with until next week?
Most definitely. There are two recommendations. One of them is a re-recommendation. Chrome recommended to me to watch the series Orwell, and I benched the first. And this is, if you want to watch an alternative to Star Trek Discovery or generally a show like Star Trek, you definitely should check it out. If you don't mind the drama aspect of this series, it's a really great show. And my own recommendation is an anime. It's Kimi no Na wa, or Your Name in English. Mm-hmm. And it's a movie you're definitely gonna enjoy.
Interesting. I haven't even heard about that one.
Could you say that again? Sorry, Riker.
It's Kimi no Na wa, or Your Name in English, and it's one of the biggest movies in 2016, I was it.
Interesting.
Oh, right.
It won a lot of prizes because it's also from a new director whose work doesn't really stood out before, but it's a really great and fun movie.
All right, cool. So to summarize that, from me, you have the Steam link, and you have the series, The End of the Effing World, on Netflix, and I think there's a streaming service for Channel 4. I'm not from the UK, so I don't know what that's called.
We just have catch-up TV on Channel 4. It's just available.
Yeah, all right.
So, just 4OD.
Yeah. From Luke, we had... Let's see here.
Bright.
The Bright. That's right.
Bright is right.
Bright is right.
Is right.
And from Josh, we had...
Rainbow Six Siege.
Indeed.
Or, to give it the full name, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege.
And from Patrick, we had Orwell, and we had Kimi no wa, Your Name.
Kimi no Na wa.
Kimi no na wa.
Get it right, Sarge.
Yeah.
Kimi no Na wa.
I'm sorry. I thought I nailed
Not
it.
quinoa, which is what I thought you said.
Quinoa. Watch the anime Quinoa. It's a good one. I heard that it's critically
an anime
acclaimed.
movie.
It's a good, fulfilling
Anime
anime.
movie.
It's just nutritious.
Yeah,
it's good.
It's really nutritious. It's good for you.
It's better than Rice the series.
All right, that is actually it for the Go.Live podcast, or the Go.Live Gaming Podcast, the first ever episode. And I've had a blast, and I want to thank Luke, Josh, and Patrick for tagging along for this little journey. If you want to interact more with what we do here on Guns of Anthem, or the Guns of Anthem community, we are on Twitter, on Facebook, we are here on YouTube, and we're going to be on even more platforms in the future. So stay tuned and stay... I don't know, just look for notifications.
Go on.
Just stay.
Just stay. Yeah.
Stay.
Don't move.
Indeed. So, thank you everyone for watching, and we'll see you at next week during the same time, during the same hour. And I'm Saj, and thank you for listening and watching. And hopefully, if you're listening to this in podcast form as well, you've had an entertaining time. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Bye.